Welcome to the master class video for the AWP, the long requested video. This will be an all-in-one guide with basic skills as well as the top-end pro ways of firing this weapon, okay? And mastering it, because that's what this is all about, okay? So without further ado, let's get to it. The no scope, okay? So I was going to start with just simply firing this weapon, but I realized that you have to two-hand it, and to demonstrate why you need to be able to two-hand this, it's easier to start with the no scope, okay? So getting to the no scope, if I step this close to the target, only a foot away from it, and I'm pointing it directly at the center of the white, I am not going to hit the white. Look at that. Okay? And as a matter of fact, oh, there we go. We got 1, 2, 3. What is the problem here? The problem here is randomness, okay, and inaccuracy. It looks like they intentionally, and let me just unload a little more so we have a better sample size to choose from here. Completely almost random shots, okay? What is the problem here? The problem here is it looks like they programmed the no scope to hit everything but the center almost, okay? And it's very random, as in 3 bullets that I just shot landed here. The couple clips before that, couple ended that way, 1 ended that way. It is completely almost random, okay? So watch it. 1, 2, 3. Completely different directions. 1 quadrant there, 2 quadrant, 3 quadrant. Let's try a faster rate, see if it's the same theory. 2, 1 quadrant. It is completely random. So that is a problem when trying to learn the no scope, because there's really not a lot of things you can do to improve your no scope accuracy except fire the dang thing faster, okay? So to no scope, I literally would just say, don't even aim, the scope like, okay, I'm gonna point it here, it's gonna land here. I would just say aim in the general dang direction, get as close as you can to your target, and just pray it's gonna land, okay? Because it's almost guaranteed to not hit the center of the target. It might even be better to aim over here on the side, because then maybe one of your shots will land in the center. See that? The trick for the no scope might be to aim over here, get reasonably close. See that? And then at least one of your shots eventually going to end up near the center. That's kind of sad. So for the no scope, really you just got to get close and pray you get lucky. Okay, you pretty much have to be this close if you want this kind of accuracy. Okay, in the yellow or even point blank. In their face. Okay, look how close my gun is to the target. 1, 2, 3. So the AWP is the only gun you have to two-hand, because it'll land on the dot every time if you two-hand it. Okay, that simple. No scope, done. So the beauty of the AWP is that there's no one right way to fire it. Okay, and that's why it was really difficult coming up with an AWP masterclass video for firing it. But there are a couple tips to make you more consistent. All right, first off, tip 1 for you is to hold a comfortable position that doesn't fatigue you and feels nice, okay? So that every time I fire it and try to find the target, I'm only a little bit off. Notice that black dot is off a little bit from the white center every time around. Ideally, I want to be dead center every time, but just naturally it doesn't happen. I take a breath, I move a little bit, my arm shakes a little, and it's hard on the valve index because these little precise movements really make a big difference, but you have to do it on the Quest 2 as well, okay? Same exact concept, all right? Tip number 2 is what I used to do, and you can do either one of these, okay? There's no wrong way to do this, okay? But for tip number 2, what I used to do is I used to look at this actual scope, and this is when I first started AWPing. I used to look at this actual scope and I would look at these pixels on this actual scope, so that when I'm holding it to my face, I kind of know that, okay, this shade of the scope, if I zoom in, and I'm looking through the target. So both my eyes are open. You can't see my eyes. I can see the scope, but I can also see the target in my vision. So I know that if I line up the white bullseye with a certain patch of my skin scope, I know that it's always going to be pretty close to that. So if I'm down here, I look up, I know that, okay, not much of a change I have to make, right? And so this way works when you're really looking for like a quick scope. So you're pretty much giving yourself a visual guide on how to scope it. And it feels more natural because it almost feels like you're firing a real weapon then, right? So that's tip number 2, all right? That's just 2 ways of holding it to fire with your shooting arm. Now the first way, this way that I was showing you here, works just fine, particularly if you're used to the op, because then you get kind of used to this visual cue too, just on where it's angled, and just from natural, I hate saying muscle memory because there's no such thing as muscle memory. The muscle doesn't remember things. Your brain has patterns and remembers different processes. It's not muscle memory, mind you, but you can just get used to holding it like this, and you kind of know what adjustments you have to make here, and I'm not too far off my target every time. See that? So I mean, it really doesn't matter which way you do it, whichever way works for you. This, when you play hours a day and your arms and shoulders hurt, this is clearly the method to choose, because less strain on your shoulders, your arms, less chance for injury. Okay, now this is probably, if you like shoot weapons in real life and you like all that kind of thing and you want the realistic feel, I'd recommend way number 2. Okay, so I leave it to you to choose which one you feel is best. See that? It went all the way up there, okay? But I actually, like, if I can go really fast, and I can see it, like, before I fire. So what does that mean? On the Valve Index, you got to slow it down a little bit. So the zoom in, just being straight with you, is easier when you're on PCVR. And I believe that's because of the frame rate, okay? When you're looking through the index or the Quest, there's certain frames that are rolling across your screen every second. The more frames you have, the faster you're able to see things and then react to them, right? So when you fire, the zoom in is just, honestly, it's just faster to visually and cognitively recognize on PCVR. Okay, that's why op users are generally better when they're hooked up to a computer of some kind, either with the Quest 2 or the Valve Index. Okay, just being straight with you. The funny thing is, since I'm on a Valve Index and I get 144 frames per second, when I see the zoom in, I actually have to slow down my shot a little bit. What does that mean? I actually visually recognize the sight dot on the target before I'm able to fire it, and it register as a scope shot. Too fast for the game. See that? My bullet didn't go anywhere near the target because even though I already saw the dot and I know that the thing is, somewhat on the target, it was too fast. Shot didn't register. Okay, so shooting the op. Let's break it down into 3 steps very quickly. The first step is gauging where you think the zoom will be. I think that by pointing this op right here, I'm going to be pretty close to where the target is, and I was somewhat close. Okay, so step 1, gauge where it is. Step 2, the zoom. Step 3, adjust and fire. Okay, all right. Step 1, gauge where the target is. I'm looking at the bottom left, and I'm guessing that my zoom in will be pretty close to the bullseye. Step 2, zoom in. Step 3, adjust and fire. Okay, 3 steps. All right, again, guess where the zoom's going to be. Zoom in, adjust, fire. Okay, so I broke it down very slowly, right? And the reason why I'm doing that is because when you speed this up, the adjustment part is really the focus. Okay, so naturally, when you become good at using this thing, I've gotten this from playing this game for a year and just picking up these strategies, watching other people do it, right? But to help you accelerate this learning process, I'm breaking it down into these steps, right? Step 1, guess where it is. Step 2, zoom. Step 3, move and fire. Okay. Now, when you do this faster, it's going to be too fast to count. Okay. Unlike our other things where we have this count. Okay. Guess, adjust, fire. And that was like 132. Now, notice how fast I guessed, I zoomed in, and I made those adjustments. Now, I think the most tricky part to learn is the adjustment, and that's where a good opper comes in. Okay, a good opper obviously will be good at both of these things, guessing where the target is so that they had to make minimal adjustments, and that was really close, right? And then the good opper will also quickly know that, okay, I'm here. I have to move how much? Here and fire, right? And you're going to do it so fast that you're not going to see it, okay? All right. So the adjustment part is really the trick. And that's where I put most of my focus when I'm shooting up, like my mental focus, okay? The guessing part, you know, you pick this up, this comes naturally, okay? But the adjustment is where I put all my focus. Did you see that right there? I didn't even think about the guess. I just zoom in. See how fast that was, right? And that's how fast you have to shoot this thing. Point shoot, pretty much. Point shoot, right? Because good players, top players, do not stand still, especially when they know you have an op. So you really have to get used to looking somewhere, pointing, adjusting, fire, okay? Pretty quickly, right? All right? So the guess is important, but also the adjustment. The adjustment is probably the thing I put most focus on. Notice how fast that adjustment is, right? You didn't see me go slowly drag here, right? And you see a lot of oppers do that, right? I said, okay, cognitively, what did I do? I know that I'm about, you know, X inches off my target. I'm just making up the distance. X inches off my target. So I know, because I've shot this op so many times, that I just have to move it yay much really quickly to find my target and fire, okay? So it's really about finding your target and making the adjustments really quickly, okay? And that's how to quickly fire this thing. And you should honestly always be firing this thing as quick as you can while being accurate, of course. Okay, now I'll do the farthest target. See that? Now, even though my guess was not really that close to it, I was so quick at making the adjustments of firing that I hit the target really quick even after the zoom in, okay? Not even a second, right? Not even a second. So now the last tip I have for firing this thing is really the trigger pull, okay? Now on the Valve Index, this whole thing, this controller is really sensitive. You have to fire it like a real gun, kind of, where your hand, the rest of your hand stays still and your trigger is like firing, right? Like, I'm sorry, your trigger finger is really the only thing that's moving on your hand like a real gun when you fire it, okay? The other tip I have for you for actually shooting, and this is like a real, you know, life weapon shooting kind of thing, is exhale when you fire. Take a deep breath in. Exhale when you fire. Okay? That way, on the exhale, or if you're holding your breath, which you really shouldn't be doing, exhaling is better, is that when you exhale, you have less movement in your body, so you're less likely to shake it around a little bit, okay? So those are two extra little tips I have for firing it, all right? So once again, let's go over quickly how to fire it, and you just have to practice. So how I would practice this is I would start with just getting used to coming to the shooting range, doing a whole bunch of, you know, boxes a day, maybe 3 boxes a day. Just find your position, whether it's this comfy position or the more aggressive position. Find whatever works for you. Find that position. Get used to finding and adjusting the target. Now that you know the trick, that it's broken down into steps, you can learn it better. Instead of just picking up and shooting a billion rounds, trying to figure out how to do it, you know what you have to do. Okay, point it, and I think it's going to be here. Oh, I was a little off. Okay, well, let's try another target. I might just spend the first 5 minutes just trying to find and guess where your target's going to be and make adjustments. Okay, see that? Now, I would say that if you're looking at these targets, as long as you're guessing, and when you zoom in, you're on this block, that's that's good for just, you know, starting out, okay? The less you do, the better, right? But the faster you are at adjusting, the less you have to worry about guessing, right? So I would practice just doing this, finding the targets before you even fire, and just getting used to guessing and adjusting to the different ones, and just naturally over time you'll get better at it, okay? Unfortunately, the op doesn't have some secret magic trick that you just need to learn and do well with, okay? There is a learning process to this weapon, okay? To summarize, there's really 3 steps to doing this well, okay? Guess where your target is, do the zoom, make adjustments, fire with a nice only index finger pull of the trigger while you're exhaling, okay? So the last thing you need to know when firing this weapon is shot lead. And I really haven't talked about shot lead in any of my videos, okay? Because these are really masterclass videos, or they were supposed to be in the beginning. So they're really only like the high-end tips. But now these videos have become a lot more comprehensive than that, okay? So if you don't know, you never shoot at a target that's moving on the target precisely. You want to be aiming a little bit ahead, depending on the distance. That's actually pretty close, so I might not lead a lot. But you actually want to shoot ahead of your target, okay? So your target is moving. You can't shoot at them. You just have to shoot ahead of them. So it's a lot of guessing, okay? You really have to guess how the target's going to move. So I know I have to shoot about, okay, here to hit the target, okay? That actually might have been a little too much lead for how close he was. But that's just an example. You have to know the distance ahead of the target to shoot based upon their distance, okay? And this is just something you have to get used to in game. It's kind of hard to show you in this masterclass video unless I just took like 30 clips of me shooting in game, okay? So now if you're about, just to help you if you're totally new to this, if you're about this close to a target, you really don't have to worry about much lead, if any lead at all, okay? But the further away you get, you really are going to have to start considering lead. So a lot of it's just guessing and predicting where your target is going to move, okay? And that's why it's really hard to shoot pro players, because pro players know how to vary up their movement to confuse the oppers, okay, or to confuse the snipers, period, okay? So it's really hard to shoot good players. They'll never move the same for more than a couple seconds, so that you can't shoot them, okay? Not always, but they're usually trying to juke you all the time if they know you're trying to op them or soccer them, right? Now that we've learned how to fire the op, the next obvious thing to do is learn how to reload it. And the same thing goes. There's no one right way to do this, okay? So take this with a grain of salt, okay? Probably the most optimal, if I had to tell you one way, is to hold it still, just like your natural position, fire, reload completely with your left hand. Don't move anything with your right. Fire, fire, okay? That way, you're keeping this whole shooting arm consistent, so that what happens every time you zoom in, you don't have to make many adjustments to your zoom, right? So less adjustments is better. So that is how I would recommend reloading, just period, okay? Zoom in, fire, purely left hand, purely left hand, purely left hand. So now how to reload the whole clip. Now the fastest way for me, and the most convenient, because I have these short T-Rex arms, is to push it in, and then I rotate it, and then pull this back. So there's really two clicks. Click in, and then this way. So I'm moving this right arm, yes, to reload the clip, right? And I'm doing it this way because to do it purely from my left hand is actually pretty hard to do if I don't move. Actually, that wasn't hard to do, but I've whiffed this before, and that was actually a lot of strain on my left arm. I shoot a lot of soccer rounds, so I want to keep this arm being used as minimal as possible, okay? And that's just me. Once again, there's two ways to do this. One is to push it in, so I'm going movement 1, movement 2, okay? And that's just the most minimal physical real life movement you gotta do, right? So the second way is purely with the left arm, so you're holding this consistent line so you can just keep spamming shots because you're keeping this arm completely steady, and that would be like that. Essentially one kind of movement. It's almost like a flick while clicking the grip twice, doing that. Load, pull, bolt, and let go. Load, pull, bolt, let go. It's like a flick, and then unloading, right? But when you're firing purely with the left arm and you're doing all that, it's a lot of work on your left arm. So what do? I actually do the lazy method because that was so minimal actual movement. So what did we go over so far? I taught you how to fire this weapon, but the quick scope, okay? So the beauty of it is if you learn my way of firing the op, you're pretty much already quick scoping it if you can do what I did there, right? That was a quick scope. I pretty much taught you a quick scope. I taught you a pro strategy without really even telling you I was teaching you a pro strategy. So what is a quick scope? A quick scope is looking somewhere, pointing, firing, okay, very quickly. It's really a point, guess, and shoot, okay? And now if I had to break it up, I would say it's just the way I taught you how to fire it, but doing it really quickly. So what does that mean? That means guess, zoom, adjust, shoot. Okay, guess, zoom, adjust, shoot. But doing it really quick. Okay, so how I would practice this is almost like a quick draw. Okay, I would sit here naturally, just guess, visually look at another target. Okay, I'm going to fire at the top right one now. So guess, not good, right? Guess, just like that. Okay, and that is the quick scope. If I were to tell you how to practice this, I would say pretend you're in the Wild Wild West. Slowly, one at a time, pick a target, guess, right? Adjust and fire. Guess, adjust, fire. Guess, oh, gotta have bullets. Guess, adjust, fire. Okay. Now you can do it for the long ones. Guess, adjust, fire. Okay. Again, guess, adjust, fire. Miss. That's okay. Guess, adjust, fire. Okay. Again, guess, adjust, fire. Too much adjustment. Guess, adjust, fire. So the reason why I'm taking my time is okay. I'm saying I want to hit that target, that one. I'm gonna guess, adjust, fire. Guess, adjust, fire. Too much. Ready? Again, let's choose a different target. Mix it up. Guess, just fire. Missed. Guess again. Okay, see that? You might miss here and there. That's okay. You learn, right? Guess, just fire. 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 Guess. So there's really no secret to learning the quick scope except from practicing it, right? That's what everyone will tell you. But I would go one step more than that by breaking it up into the steps I told you on how I taught you how to fire it, okay? So we just went over the quick scope. So if you can quick scope in a serious competitive game, you are going to be a force to be reckoned with, okay? Went over the quick scope. That's all I got for you on it. Practice, practice, practice. If you want to know how to quick scope, you really just have to do probably a few boxes a day of this kind of training, choosing different targets, mixing it up, right? If you can practice that and do it while standing, the next thing to do would be to do it while you're flying. And that's why I might even recommend doing it like this. Your quick scopes like this. Practicing here before you're in the air. Finding your target. Starting with your arms to your side like you're in your wings. Bring it, choose a target. Bring it in. And fire, okay? The quick scope, you really just gotta practice. I would start there, doing it from the sideline, then do it while you're flying. There are quite a good amount of times in a game when you're gonna have to fly and kind of just do your shots while you're falling in the air, okay? So 2 shots would be good. You might be able to squeeze out a third one if you're really quick at the reload. I don't want to hurt my shoulders here on this, but you might be able to do 3 if you're really quick on the reload. So now that we went over the quick scope, we'll go in order of difficulty over the next skills, the pro skills. So the second pro skill we are going to learn is the wall peek shoot, okay? So if you don't know, you can actually peek a wall with an op, put yourself on the wall, and zoom in. So look at myself, right? What's going on here? I was actually, if you can't see it, I'm actually, it's kind of hard to do. You have to have your gun out. You put yourself in the wall. I'm trying not to look around because if you look around too much, what happens? You come out of it, okay? So what you want to do is you have your op out. You can put yourself into the wall. You have to kind of put it, you have to have your arm out like this. Put it like into your armpit is what my friend told me. I'm inside it. I don't want to move my head because what happens if I move my head? If I look down too much, I can come out of it, okay? So when you're in it, get your arm out, put it in your armpit. When you're out, put it in your armpit, grab it, zoom, fire, and you can even reload, right? Just sometimes I hold my breath while I'm doing it because I don't want to fall out of it because it is pretty sensitive in some walls. But I'm in I'm in the wall, okay? And you can do this over essentially any kind of ledge. So watch, I can practice it over here. So look at that. I can even see through the ring here. Now, I don't know any other building that has a ring like this in the game, but if I put it into my armpit, look at that. I can zoom fire even through the ring, kind of. See that? All right. Some walls it's harder to do than others. This might be messing me up a little bit. Kind of hard to put my arm in this one. See that? So some walls are harder to do it on. Okay, this wall is actually pretty tough. You don't want to go too close because this bar is in the way here. So for this wall, it's more like right here. It's more like right here. See that? Ooh, right. A little closer. Right here. Fire. All right. This is a trick I actually didn't learn till a couple months ago, and like I don't use it, or I didn't use it often because I haven't actually been using the AWP since I use the Sakura so much these days. But I used to main the AWP, so I know how to fire this thing. But this kind of hard corner ledge is a lot easier to do it on than like a rounded one like that. So you're just sticking in your armpit for real. And fire. Just don't make a lot of sudden movements, maybe as little as possible, so you don't shake yourself out of the wall, right? Now the only problem with this is that even though I am peeking, I am hella exposed to a face shot, right? This is a lot more exposed than this is when I'm firing like an AK or like a Sakura, right? So like you are really asking for a headshot. So be careful when you do this. Like I don't do this all the time. Like I only do it if I know I'm reasonably safe and like I can just get some free shots over behind some cover. Like I don't dare do this if I know an opera is looking at me and firing. I actually tried to, and I got shot in the face one time not too long ago. Okay, so this trick works on essentially every ledge. Okay, just put it in. You'll get used to it. It's one you have to practice because some walls are more tricky than others, right? But in your armpit, keep your head still. Hold your breath. I'm just kidding. But you hold steady because you can shake yourself out of it pretty easy here. Okay? So hold steady in the armpit. Head still. Do your shots. Don't make too much adjustments like I did there or you're going to fall out. As in, don't shake your arms and your head around too much, okay? Because you can knock yourself out of that. All right, so we went over the AWP peek, okay? The AWP over the wall peek. So now I'm going to teach you a really sneaky trick that I never use, but just heads up, it's there. It's in the game, so I've seen best players in the world use this in tournaments, so it's fair game for anyone to use, I would say. You have to hold it horizontal. You have to hold this above your cover, obviously. You got to get the gun exposed. Grab it with your left hand to do the zoom in, but look straight ahead, okay? You can't look up. I'm gripping, no scope, but I'm looking straight ahead now. Boom. I can see it, right? Crazy sneaky skill. I should probably just use this all the time so that they fix this, because this is like probably the shadiest kind of like way to use a gun right now. See that? Like awesome, right? Like you can hit your target and be purely behind cover, right? Now this is only going to work on certain cover. You probably could do it on a wall. Now how you could do this on any wall in theory is if you put a build, I can't do it here, but if you could put a platform right here so that when you're here, and if you could just put the level just so much that you can get your gun out, right? It's kind of hard because I can't build here, but if you could get a platform about, let's see, you need it a little higher than this, like a platform about here, so that when you stand, your gun is just exposed, like right here. Yep, so right here, I can, too low. I can shoot over the target, right? So you could use this on any wall, honestly, if you just put a build and do this appropriately. But this is like super not really cool thing to do, okay? But just heads up, it exists. People know about it. People are using it, including the best in the world. So, you can use it too, right? Until they fix it. Never used this in game yet, but maybe I should start. It's really nasty, right? There's nothing they can do. Like, they can't see me, and I can shoot with an AWP behind cover. That's better than the Sako. All right, y'all. The last trick we're gonna learn is the jump shot. Okay, the AWP jump shot. So you have to know how to quick scope because you just can't do this skill if you don't quick scope. So what I'm gonna do is I'm literally gonna vault myself into the air, quick scope a target, and fire. Right? And that is the quick scope. But to do it well, what you gotta do is you don't want to throw yourself too high like I did, right? The problem with that is you're gonna get shot out of the sky. Okay, so you really want to time this nice and low, just so you're getting enough to get your shot and come back down on the wall. How do you do it? Step by step. Well, first off, you grab in the wall, get ready for your jump. Depending on how high you are, you're gonna have to throw yourself differently, right? You don't want to throw yourself out too high. What I would do if I was in a serious game is I would first take a peek, quick peek where the enemy is, so I know generally where to shoot, because I know just by the way we learned, right? I have to put this somewhere. I have to guess where I'm gonna have to zoom in on. So I'm gonna take a peek, look, and then I'm gonna go, guess, fire. All right, and we'll switch up a target. Okay, take a peek. I'm looking for the middle one. Jump, fire. Okay. Again, I'll look for the top left one. All right. And I'm back holding the wall, right? So hold wall, grip on the wall. Make sure you're loaded. Take a peek. Not bullseye, right? But that's okay. So again, take a peek. Maybe even move a second, just so if someone else is opping you, you don't want to be at the same spot or shooting at you. Make sure you got a loaded clip. That would help. Okay. If you're low on the wall, you can go higher. All right. And you're back behind cover. Maybe we'll shoot it like a head. That was a headshot. Let's see if we can get one of those far ones over there. Pretty cool, alright? And that is the jump shot. So you're literally just throwing and quick scoping, okay? Tough skill to do. I mean, it's harder when you're not on PCVR. When you're on PCVR, since everything moves, you're able to see everything faster, like the zoom is faster. You have a little more leeway for making this a smaller jump and making room for error, as in taking too long to fire. Okay, but on the Quest, you're probably gonna have to, give yourself a little more time on the zoom in, or just react faster. Okay. Now, I would not use this move if you're fighting another opper who's looking at your cover, okay? I've tried to do this. I was fighting an opper. I actually had slightly lower ground. He was standing, he was behind like a silo or something, and I knew where he was, and he was kind of just chilling, waiting for me to pop out. I jumped. I tried to fire. I got shot in the face. Literally, right? It's happened. So be careful when you do it. Like, I would do it not when someone's looking at me with a sniper, but maybe like if I know the enemy's over there and they're moving and I don't want to come out of cover because I'm going to get shot, but I can just get a quick peek in safely. That's when you use this sucker. Alright everyone, so we covered essentially all the major skills that you need to become a pro op player. Okay, a lot of these skills at the end you don't have to, but if you're looking for something to master on the op, hey, there they are. Okay, hope you all liked the video. Please subscribe. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. Say hi in game, but thank you again. Take it easy and good luck with your opping.